validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa, I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Starting about 32 minutes late. I apologize for the delay. It has been another rough day. I'm going to get better about this time thing. We're going to be trying to start at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 9 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock California time, and ideally 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Today, we were supposed to be discussing the ins and outs of Egypt and the gems and investment in living since Max Opposer and Fireball, TF Fireball, have been asking about buying real estate in Egypt. I thought that it would be a good idea for us to talk about real estate in Egypt. I believe that it would be a good thing for me to cover some of the other concepts that was brought up by Kay and Satellite over the past couple of days. So I'm going to be scheduling those shows for the upcoming weeks so that we can talk about those as well. I was asked about brokerage companies, and I was also asked about pure metals. So we're going to be talking about that in upcoming times. I also talk about a different country every week as far as in investing in, living in, and other such. Egypt is no different. I didn't have the time to take to cover all the things that I wanted to cover as far as getting information, but I did get a lot of information on Egypt. So I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff that I've already collected. And since I do have a decent quantity of time, if I get through most of this stuff, I probably will try to cover some of the other stuff ad-libbed, but definitely want to cover the stuff that I've already grabbed, because when somebody asks me a question, I try to provide them with some reasonable information. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Make sure that you guys have the opportunity to take a look at the membership. If you don't join the membership, it's worth joining. We're going to be putting a lot more information into the membership throughout the year. So, and nothing is going to get archived in the membership. So you'll be able to get lots of information on that stuff coming soon. I am looking into creating other things that we can access that will aid us in the distribution of information, because I know that I go through so much stuff in the show. I want to make sure that I have some type of something somewhere where we can access all of the information that is on the show related to business and finance and stuff to that effect. So I'm going to be trying to find a way to put that stuff together, because I know that when we start talking about documents, I want to have like templates of documents in places where you guys can find them. When we talk about forms and stuff to that effect, I want to be able to have at least a template of the form. And if I don't have a template of the form, I want to be able to have at least the itemization of what the form is and where you can potentially look to find those forms. You know, I'm going to be looking at, because again, we're talking about not just what's happening in America, we're talking about what's happening all over the world. So I'm going to be trying to get information on as much stuff as possible, so that we can take a look at all over the world ways that we can improve ourselves financially and make better decisions for ourselves. So I will continue to work on that, because I got to take some days off, y'all. Not from the show. I am live 7 nights a week. Unless I am dead or in jail, in ICU somewhere, I am live 7 nights a week. And if, like OJ Simpson, if I could stream from a holding cell, I'll probably do that too. I guarantee you. So when it comes down to coming live, I'm never taking a day off. But I'm sitting over here thinking like I got to take a few days off from the other stuff that I got to do, so that I can put more time into putting together the things that I've been trying to get for you guys over the last couple of weeks. Because behind the scenes stuff, it takes a lot to set something up. And if I'm about to create some stuff for the members, I have to create it in an exclusive fashion where the members are the only ones that have access to it. So I have to find a way to piece that stuff together. I might, like I said before, create a Dropbox and then put all the information into a Dropbox. But Dropbox are limited to 2 gigs unless you pay for the Dropbox. So I could only put 2 gigs worth of documents in there. Not going to be throwing any videos in there if I'm doing 2 gigs worth of documents. I would have to itemize it. So I'm trying to figure out how to make all that stuff work. If I don't do like Dropbox full of information, I'm sitting over here thinking maybe, there's another way that I could go about doing it, like itemizing different posts that has different information where you can go to other sources and collect those documents and stuff. I'm trying to figure out a way to get it, because I can't have 100% of Google's information on my podcast. It's just not going to happen. There isn't enough room on my podcast for an entire search engine with billions and billions of posts. But if I can find a way to maybe redirect people to a members only page, or redirect people to a membership code that is exclusive for the members to utilize information from the membership, then I will be creating a lot of information for you guys, and then organizing it, because that's the key factor. It has to be organized. I can create squeeze pages that has certain documents for certain things, and I can even create it from a WordPress style document. But the issue is that if I'm creating it for the members, I need to create it exclusively for the members. So that's going to be the thing that I'm going to be trying to work on. because you guys that come to the show are very valuable, but you guys that show the loyalty, join the membership, and stick with us and grow with us, you guys are a step above. So I want to make sure that those of you that are putting your time and effort into the channel, investing into the channel, has access to channel exclusive information, which is still public record per se. But if you didn't know where to go to get it, and you're going to get it from here, or get the information from here as to where to go to get it, yeah, I kind of feel like, those of you who really want it and come to me to get it should get some perks for joining a membership to get access to that. So if I'm going to be your your go-to guy for all the kinds of information that you need to get stuff done, I want to make sure that I'm taking good care of you guys. So if I build the reputation on YouTube as the walking source of information, human Google word search, human search engine, anything to that magnitude, if that's the reputation that I'm going to build from this channel, I'm going to make sure that I do a good job of keeping the information coordinated for you guys, so that you guys have the information that you need. Beyond that, I will continue to give you guys all the information that you're looking for from the live every week. So make sure that you like and subscribe, because we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about. And I know that if you guys have some information that you want to share, make sure that you like and subscribe, share it with a friend. But you can put your information in the comment section, whether you're looking at us from Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. We haven't gotten to TikTok yet. I actually reached out to TikTok once just to see if they're going to hand me a stream key. But in order for me to put TikTok on here, I'm going to have to pay a surplus in order to add TikTok to StreamYard. So if I'm going to add TikTok to StreamYard, I need TikTok to give me a stream key so that I can stream on, because I don't want to have two browsers open on the same desktop. That's the reason why we had drop frames from before. And then we're not sure yet. We've got less than 30 days. Well, technically, because it was 75 days from the 19th of January, which is something close to the 15th of April. So we've got close to 30 days that left. And I haven't heard any positive news about the United States receiving 50% ownership of TikTok. And since I haven't heard any positive news about it, I would assume that they are not negotiating. It doesn't mean that they're not. I would assume that they're not negotiating. And the reason why I would assume that they're not negotiating is because Trump has had a habit as of late to take immediate action. So what will happen is that if in the event that China does not cooperate with the selling of TikTok, even if it's out of spite of the added tariffs coming from the US, recognizing that once that expiration date happens, if they aren't in a positive negotiating period where they need more time, it is likely that on the 76th day, or maybe even on the 74th day declaration from Donald Trump, that on the 76th day that TikTok will go back to being banned. Now, even though streaming from TikTok is still remotely restricted from some of the states that have banned TikTok on principle, while the U.S. government is not banning TikTok, that is on the federal level, and state levels are allowed to be more stricter than the federal level. So the only thing that the U.S. government did was lift the ban on TikTok. However, there's like 40 states that banned it on principle based on lawsuits. So since that happened, since TikTok got banned from lawsuits, the TikTok would have to be unbanned from all 50 states because of the states unbanning it due to the change in privacy policies and the ownership of the U.S. in order for TikTok to continue to run in the United States for a streamer that is in the United States. So those of us that are being hit, they got certain states in the north, certain states on the west, certain states on the east that cannot live stream. But if you're in America and you're watching it, yeah, you can see yourself on where you can see other people's content, but you getting your content out there a little bit more difficult. Now, so we haven't really leaned on TikTok just yet. That doesn't change the fact that we're not gonna. It just means that the situation has to be more in our favor before we do it. Once I get rumors from the U.S. government, or once I get rumors from some other social media post somewhere else that we're probably going to see that bill being signed or the contract being closed in upcoming weeks, then we'll start readdressing TikTok. So as it stands right now, we're just not doing it. Now, today, we're supposed to be discovering some of the hidden gems for investments and living in places like Egypt. So this is going to be a pretty good show today. I'm actually pretty excited. I know that you guys are going to be excited as well, because we're going to have a lot of stuff that we're going to cover. Because I know that I said I was going to cover New Zealand. My apologies. I grabbed the wrong string, y'all. Look, we live, and yeah, I'm in a 3-piece suit at this show. You see the pants. We live. I had to turn the fan on. I'm like, Jesus, it's hot in here. But yeah, we're supposed to be talking about what's going on with Egypt. I know I said I was going to do New Zealand eventually, but since Max Opposer and Fireball came in and they continue to ask about purchasing real estate in Egypt, while it is kind of a running gag because they're talking about fandom and all this other stuff and yachts and all this weird dialogue that the new kids are doing these days, the truth of the matter is that it is a good thing to understand that Egypt is not full of pyramids. They actually do have real estate. They do have houses, bungalows, apartments, condos, and big time real estate over there. So there are other investment opportunities over there as well. So I'm going to be talking about that stuff today. And then tomorrow, Thursday through Saturday, we're going to be talking about social improvements, social inequalities, and other such. And then we're going to touch base on Sunday with our members only, open to the public with questions and comments for the fans. I did talk to, I do believe his name is Jordan. I had to double check because I talked to the guy. Remember I told you guys yesterday about the guy that was supposed to be coming to the show from TikTok. He said, I'll think about it. So we're going to see if he actually pops in. Oh, here he is. Oh no. Yeah, so I'm not rushing you, buddy. Let's see. We're gonna just brainstorming a new brainstorming ideas for a later date. Yeah. So I'm talking to him. His name is Jordan Barnes, and Jordan Barnes is a TikTok influencer, and he does a lot of real estate. So I wanted to let you guys know that I did talk to him, and I let him know that I let you guys know that we're looking for him to come out and do what it do. So what I want to see is if he's going to do it. He says, I'll think about it. And I'm going to be real, hands down. Usually when somebody says I think about it, that's usually a no. But in all reality, you know, I was telling them, hey, we could link up next Tuesday, trying to proactively lock it in. But the fact is that if he is going to come to the show, it's not going to be next Tuesday. And the reason why it's not going to be next Tuesday is because we have to decide what we're going to talk about. He has to gather some information. I'm going to have to gather some information. This gentleman sounds like he is a knowledgeable person, and I am more than positive that he is going to want to do his due diligence to make sure that he is knowledgeable and up to date about what he wants to talk about when he comes to the show. And the show is going to be basically about his knowledge and his experiences in investments and supplemental incomes and this, that, and the third that we're going to be covering on that particular show. So I haven't even figured out how I'm going to theme it. I was talking to him about theming it. Maybe we could pick a financial topic of some sort, and like he talk about some stuff and I talk about some stuff, and then we just kind of bounce off of one another. That way my research doesn't conflict with his research, because if we're both exclusively working on, say, stock trades, dividends, stuff like that, I might do an in-depth pull. And you know how I do, guys. I might do an in-depth pull and pull all the information he got and some, and then what he's talking about is also what I was going to be talking about, which means I got to kind of like cross that out, cross this out, be like, all right, he said that, let me take that off. He said, because I'll do like 200 pages of stuff. And that's one of the things that I'm capable of covering. So I could tell you guys that I probably could cover 120, 200 pages worth of information in an hour and a half, 2 hours time. So with that being said, I want to make sure that I get through a lot of this stuff in a timely fashion with him. So I'm gonna keep you guys updated as to if and when he comes through. So since I put the word out this week, I'm like, bet, I just want you to know, like, nah, like whatever. And I'm gonna see what's up. He's going to let me know, and then I'm going to push it back a week because I still have to play with the format. So the StreamYard is what I'm using right now, and StreamYard has, oh, look at that, y'all. I got Higher Ground sitting up there. I am not in the right mind today. There's so many things going on, and I'm not going to get into it, but it's been a lot of stuff today, and I should have switched that over so that you guys can see what's what. However, fact is that Higher Ground is the intro and outro song. We have three different versions of it. We play two of them. We also have Elevation Protocol and Non-Negotiables on our five-track album that is located on YouTube, and we also have the links to that in the description. You can also purchase it off of Amazon. Those links are in the description, but you can catch those songs from any music platform that is out there. It is literally everywhere. But that's why that was up there, because I was paying homage to alanito.music. Special shout out to alanito.music, because they're a Switzerland group that made us the podcast. I do international business. I don't just talk about it, I be about it. So when I found Jordan Burns, I was like, man, I found another fella. And there was another dude that I saw up there, and I forgot his name, but I seen him too. And I said, I need to reach out to him as well. But I want to see how things go with Jordan, set that up. And then after that one goes through, then I want to go and pull the other guy up, because I did tell you guys like a year ago that we were going to try to residually have, like, maybe once a week, get somebody to come to the show where we could talk about their knowledge and their experience. That way you guys aren't just listening to me talk all day. And I'm fine with talking all day. You see, I'll give you 5 hours of conversation. But I believe that it's a good look for me to diversify and collaborate with other financial individuals, because just like I told you guys before, your network is based off of what you can do for everyone else, as well as what you can do, what they can do for you. So that was one of the things I was thinking about why I talked to you guys about TikTok earlier, because I was considering investing in the ability to stream TikTok, which meant that if he from TikTok was going to come to the show and I did the live show, that I could potentially use his stream key on the show for that day and then stream his channel from StreamYard. So he's live on TikTok and we're live everywhere else. And then his fans would get to see what's going on. And that would bring a large quantity of collaborators on the thing. But I could do that at any time, because all it takes is for me to open up my wallet, pay a little extra, and you know what I'm saying? And that will give us the ability to do something like that. And if in the event, because I can do it for like 1 month and then regress it back, and then the difference would be spread out across however many extra months that we didn't do it. So they have this thing about prorating stuff. So if I elevate it and pay the extra money and then decline it, then it'll be whatever it needs to be. So we'll figure that part out. But yeah, StreamYard, they did a few updates. StreamYard had added some stuff. I'm gonna get to Egypt, so don't think I didn't forget about it. I got it sitting right here on my desktop. But like I got like 5 hours. I'm gonna do like a 2 or 3 hour show, not a 5-hour show. But I didn't forget about Egypt, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that StreamYard had upgraded their platform. I've got links to StreamYard, links to vidIQ, links to Opus Clip in the description because I utilize those platforms on my channel. If you want to pay somebody to do it for you, special shout out to Crestify, because Crestify Studios, if you tell them this and that sent you, they might hook you up with a little bit extra. But in addition to that, because they do a good job with helping you set up your SEOs, get your websites done, stuff to that effect. So I might talk to them about finding a way to set stuff up, but I have to find a way to set it up where it's also exclusive, where you have to go through the membership to get to that page, kind of thing. So I might figure that part out. But anyway, all over the place, StreamYard created extra add-ons equivalent to Restream, where now they've got the different scenes where you can create them in certain ways, edit them in certain ways for the 16:9 format, where there's certain stuff that's going to be there, drop downs and all this other stuff that's not available in the 9:16 format. And I haven't had the opportunity to mess around with that. So I wanted to see if I could mess around with that one of my days off and see what it looks like, see how it functions, and potentially preset it up for future shows. That way, when I have guests that I know that are coming to the show, I can utilize the 16:9 format. I can set up like all of the stuff that I'm going to set up for those people, and then we can run it. Now, 9:16 is going to run a little bit different than 16:9 because 16:9 is running off of the is operating off of the the For You page. So whoever's going to be here, whenever they're going to be here, they're going to be showing up here on the For You page from the live feed. The rest of us normally dive in on a show, but we usually get like Wednesday and Thursday are like the lowest days on a show. And one of the reasons is because the kind of stuff that we talk about on Wednesday and Thursday are typically also talked about on some bigger podcast that has a larger membership, a larger followership. So we end up with a little less fans on a Wednesday and Thursday. But typically Friday through Monday, we see a larger quantity of individuals that pop in, and we also see an even larger quantity of individuals that show up when we're talking about specifically on Mondays when we're talking about the Trump position, and when we're talking about Tuesday when we're talking about business and finance stuff. So we're gonna figure things out as time goes on, because like I said, I gotta get the rest of the week set up, stuff like that, and we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do because I want to kind of keep a rotation going so that you guys know what to expect. Also, doing that, I get to pay homage to one country per week, which means I get to cover 52 weeks a year, 52 countries, and talk about the ups that each country has, because every country has its downs, but most of us don't know what the upside is. So I want to let you guys know what the upside is, what we can do, and how we can get it done so that we can make ourselves a little bit more financially successful over time. Now, I want to let you guys know, because when we were dealing with the stocks, I had invested in 3 of the top real estate investment trusts last month in February, close to the 20th of the month. Now, the payouts are the ex-dividend dates are supposed to be towards the end of March. Now, based on the stock values on the ex-dividend date will determine the payouts that may be dispersed in April. If I didn't meet the ex-dividend date from February, because what happens is that they have an ex-dividend date from January an ex-dividend date from February, but January's ex-dividend date might be paid in March or February, and February might be paid in March or April. So they pay at the end of the month, but their ex-dividend date for the end of the month payment is from the end of the last month. So if I met the end of February's ex-dividend dates for those 3 real estate investment trusts, then between the 20th and the 31st of March, I should be receiving dividends from my real estate investment trust from February. We have seen $40 or $50 dip in all 3 of them, so down about $75 on the share value, but that does not show the actual quantity of shares that I have, how many dividends I'm going to get off of that. Now, once I get the dividends, I can tell you guys, like, hey, based on what I did, this is how much I got. And then I can tell you guys, well, if you do this on a grand scale, this is what you're looking at. But we are walking into a bearish market all the way around. And since we are walking into a bearish market all the way around, as you invest in the downturn, once it starts going back up into the bullish market, because it does it every year, it starts going down. Once it starts going back up, you'll already be in there. Then you will be able to reap the benefits of inflation or the bull market, however you want to look at it. So I'm telling you right now, on its way down, that if you ain't got it, you can get it. And by the time you get it and throw down on it, it'll be cheaper than what it was 3 months ago, which means that when it goes back to that level or higher, you will be getting that much more from it, because the dividend distributions should still be the same for the ones that I've been looking at. Now, I'm going to cover you guys on the day-to-day, or not day-to-day, the month-to-month changes of certain investment platforms and portfolios that I stick my nose in, and let you guys know what to expect for some things. As I diversify in certain things, I'll be able to tell you guys what diversified in a positive fashion, what beyond and outside of the things that I diversified and it turned out to be negative. So, because every investment is a risk. You've got high risk, high rewards. You've got low to moderate risk. There is an opportunity for loss. And the difference, you have 2 types of loss. You have the type of loss where you could have gotten more, but you pulled out early, you sold early. You have the other type of loss where you the value of the stock dropped below your expectations and you sold late. So those are the 2 types. Now the second one, the latter, that's the one that I truly consider as a loss, because it is a loss because I lost my principal investment. If a percentage of my principal investment is gone, I consider that a loss. But if I could have gotten more, but I just pulled out early to play it safe, I don't consider the difference between when I pulled out versus when the market stopped rising. I don't consider that a loss. But some experienced investors do. They like, man, if I would have stayed in a little bit longer, if I would have had more knowledge, if I would have had more confidence, more risk tolerance, I could have stayed in a little bit longer and I could have gotten closer to the peak where I would not have left anything on the table. Me, myself, I'll play it safe. I'll pull out early because I know that if it changes while I'm asleep, I'm gonna be at a loss. So if I see like, I'm about to go to bed and this is a good time for me to pull out, I'm gonna pull out right there and leave the rest of it on the table. Because when I wake up in the morning and that bad boy tank, I pulled out yesterday, so I'm good. Because it even with fintech, it's not always an instant buy sell. You even have that opportunity where you have to wait 24 hours for the buy or 24 hours for the sell. So if you need money today, you don't have a lot of platforms where you can sell it right now today and it is sold and you have access to the cash and it can be deposited into your bank account right now today. There isn't that many platforms that have that benefit. They have platforms that takes the cash dividends that you're not using and use that to make purchases with if you leave it in your account and don't reinvest it. But any invested stock, they don't have that many opportunities where you can just say, hey, I'm going to use the value of my stock to go make a purchase somewhere straight off of the stock portfolio. That's not a thing that happens very often. So we're going to be talking about what we're going to do with Egypt today. And we're going to be talking about all of those other things that I just finished touching base on, because I want to make sure that we cover everything that we can possibly cover as often as possible, because on This and That, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. We do kind of theme it into like 3 categories, but we only theme it in those 3 categories because you guys need to know a lot of information. There's a lot of information there. And respecting the fact that there is a lot of information there, we want to touch base on a lot of the stuff that you didn't know versus the stuff that you might know, so that if you didn't know, you can ask some questions. So let's go ahead and tee it off, because I got about 44 pages, and 44 pages is about 30 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes. So join me as I explain the hidden gems for investment and living. Because if we can find the best spots to invest in Egypt, we're going to be able to do that. Now, Egypt is undergoing transformations. They're emerging as a hotspot for investment and living. The country offers a unique blend of rich culture and history along modern development and infrastructure. From ancient pyramids to sleek skyscrapers, Egypt is a fascinating fusion of old and new. And as countries continue to grow and evolve, opportunities for investment and living are arising that are too good to ignore. Now, they're not too good to be true. They're just something that you just don't want to sleep on. Now, many people think investing in Egypt is a daunting task plagued by misconceptions and myths. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that the market is saturated with too many investors already on the scene. But the truth is, there's still plenty of room for newcomers, especially in the lesser known areas. I'll be exploring that later. Now, another challenge is the lack of information available to potential investors on the forefront, because it took me a few hours to get the little bit of stuff that I got today. And there's a lot more details behind the stuff that I got that I didn't have time to get because I was starting the show almost 30 minutes late. But it's true that finding reliable data and insight can be tough. But with the right guidance and expertise, navigating the Egyptian market can be a breeze. Now, Egypt's real estate market is experiencing significant growth and transformations in 2025. So the significant growth that we're experiencing is the real estate that Max Opposer was asking us about, and T Fireball was asking us about, because real estate prices are expected to rise by 10 to 30% in 2025, driving a high inflation interest rate. And we're going to be looking at a massive interest rate. Special shout out to Christopher's back, Christopher Motley, usually in by either Julie or Dixie. My bike just fell over because I was too tired. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're riding a bike, especially if it's a motorbike, not a bicycle, special shout out to Usman Squared, you shouldn't be tired and riding a bike. I don't know how you don't get an adrenaline boost once you jump on that bike, because the self-concern of falling off that bad boy and looking like a damn fool, not just the concern of crashing into something and dying, that's natural. Like, we get used to that after a while, but just not making an ass out of yourself when you try to take off and a bit buck on you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get thrown off of it while everybody's looking. You know what I'm saying? I kind of feel like it's there's enough adrenaline there that you're not tired on a bike. And I've rode a few motorcycles in my day, and I can tell you that if I ever got tired, I would just drive faster, and then the adrenaline would kick in. So I wouldn't have to worry about the 95 to 100 miles an hour on a bicycle. And it's like, well, I'm awake. But at 95 to 100 miles an hour, I'm wherever I was going to be in like 7 to 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm not going to be awake much longer and hope that I don't slip at this speed. Christopher Motley says, my car was recently totaled. I got hit at a red light and had to get a bike for now. Sounds like somebody else I know whose car got rear-ended today. Seems to be a lot of people getting rear-ended these days. Interesting. But if you got a bike, if you got a bicycle, I can see you getting tired because that is exhausting. But if you got a motorcycle or a scooter, I can't see anybody wanting to take a nap on a motorcycle. You could be drunk, but like sober and like trying to take a nap on a motorcycle, I don't see that correlating with one another. Now, maybe after you've been riding it for a while, I can see you potentially trying to do that, but nah, I can't see you if you just got it. You're so worried about falling off of it. If you was tired before you got on it, I mean, I feel like the forward motion of that bad boy should keep you on point where you like, nah, I ain't trying to fall off of that bad boy. But check this out. The Egyptian residential real estate market is projected to reach 22.21 billion in 2025 and grow at a CAGR of 10.96% to reach 37.36 billion by 2030, which is a reasonable amount. Now, in quarter one of 2024, the nationwide real estate price index surged by 39.3% year over year, and the emerging hotspots are New Cairo. They're the 6th. This is the 6th of October. The city accounted for over 40% of new residential developments in 2024. So on the 6th of October, New Cairo had accounted for 40% of new residents. The new administrative capital and new Alumnian city are attracting significant investments and developments, where Ras El Hakma project, a $150 billion collaboration between Egypt and the UAE, aim to create a global Mediterranean coastal destination. Usman says, reporter, Mr. President, what can you tell us about him? President, not a lot, but he goes by the code name Xander. Oh, he goes by the code name Xander, Morpheus, Black Neo, and of course, Blade. Oh, I love it. I love it. I got a new suit every day. He's got a new zinger every day. I love it. It is awesome. It is awesome. Let's see. Now, increasing demand for affordable housing, particularly in outskirts of major cities like Cairo and Alexandria, growing interest in vacation homes on the north coast of Sha'el. They are raising popularity of serviced apartments and integrated communities offering amenities, where they're focused on sustainable and eco-friendly developments. Now, the strong rental market and capital appreciation due to growing housing demand, the liberation of foreign land ownership rules has increased the international interest. So that means that individuals that are foreign nationals, you might have a little bit easier over time to own land in Egypt the way you are allowed to own land in Japan and not be a citizen of the country. I still recommend, regardless, that if you pick up land, that you pick up land under your LLC or your C corporation. Personally, I would have a LLC and a C corporation, where the LLC makes the deal and sells it to the C corporation, where the C corporation holds it as a holding company, and the LLC could either partner with another LLC that actually is going to rent it out, where you have one LLC renting it out and one LLC doing the buying, and the C corporation just holding the land. I think that, that trifecta would be more beneficial for you, because if the company owns the land, especially if you're building generational wealth, if the land or if the company belongs to a trust and the trust is passed on to other individuals, and the beneficiaries of that trust is your kids and your grandkids and other such, then truthfully, you would be in a position where the effort that you put into building your wealth will pay off for generations to come. Now, you want to try to get your 20-year plan put together where you can try to stop in your 50s or 60s and spend the last 20 to 30 years of your life just enjoying life. That way you could say that it's worth it. But if you're doing it for the sake of your kids or your grandkids, you want to make sure that you're doing something that is still going to be here when you pass. If you pass over and you own all of this stuff in other countries, the stuff goes back to the country. The same way in America, if you pass and you don't have anybody to inherit your stuff, the stuff goes back to the country and then it gets sold off to the next person. So if you have a lineage and you have a trust and your businesses own the land and or the trust owns the land, if the businesses bought the land and the land is sold off to the trust, you want to make sure that you have that trust so that the trust can then pass on to generation to generation to generation. So as we continue to build this stuff up, we got to build capital first, utilize capital to purchase real estate. Unless you got good credit or financial connections, you want to try a way where you can build money first, go in there, make purchases, use those purchases, and then start trying to make money for you down the line. Usman says, if you're going for that generational wealth route, you can't retire when you hit 60. Well, that depends. That depends on how much you got and how much you're trying to get. So let's say, for example, if I made it to, say, $2 million in 20 years. And let's say that I made it not $2 million in cash. Let's say that I made it to $1 million of property and $2 million of cash. And let's say I'm getting, $120,000 to $175,000 a year based on 15 to 17% interest rates before taxes. That's enough to stop and say, you know what? Because $1 million worth of property could be anywhere between 1 and 5 homes or an apartment complex. And that property or those properties could generate an income adjacent to the $1 million worth of stocks, bonds, and cash bearing investment platforms that's producing that 15 to 17% revenue. So if I've got a check coming in from the $1 million worth of real estate, and I got another check coming in from the $1 million worth of cash investment, then technically I could quit working right there. I don't have to make myself a billionaire to say that I've got generational wealth. If I make enough money for the next generation to have a standard of living, what I would have to do is teach them what I did so that they have a opportunity to expand it, to keep adding people to the fold. For example, once you build the trust, put family members on the take. So put the father on the life insurance policy, have the life insurance policy go to the trust. Mother, put her on a life insurance policy, have her go to the trust. If you've got brothers and sisters that are older than you, you could put them on a life insurance policy and have those life insurance policies go to the trust. You could put yourself on a life insurance policy, put the life insurance policy going to the trust. Then if each person that dies, if there's $1 million policy there for each person that dies, 5 people die, that's $5 million that went into the trust. If the trust is instructed to take that $5 million and invest it into stocks, bonds, and mutualities as such, that is going to generate 15 to 18% interest on that, you're looking at $180,000 off of every $1 million that's up there, where you're looking at almost $1 million of potential payouts off of $5 million of investment at 20% interest. just because the last generation died. Now the next generation that comes in splits the money. Whether you got 1 kid or 10 kids, whether your kids have 1 kid or 20 kids, that is how much the money gets divided up. Teaching them how to add to the trust, teaching them how to contact the trustee and add beneficiaries to the trust, teaching them how to add I can't remember the name of the person that watches the trustee, but the trustee supervisor, so that they can add people to the trust. All of that stuff is stuff that you teach the next generation before you die, so that when you die, they can manage the trust so that they can continue to add your family to it. But you don't need to continue to work until you die to make it. You just need to find a level to say this is enough, and it will continue to generate itself. So this is enough to pass on to somebody else. So if you got 2 or 3 kids and you've got $170,000 a year of money being passed on to them, and you're going to divide that $170,000 3 ways, then everybody's getting less than $60,000 a person. But if everybody's getting less than $60,000 a person, 50 to $55,000 a person, that's an average annual salary of a teacher. So if you got 3 kids that's getting $55,000 a year as a supplemental income from the trust, plus whatever they do for work, that you still did a good job, because all they need now is a $10,000 or $15,000 a year job, and that gives them a $60,000 a year income. If they have a $20,000 or $30,000 a year job, that gives them an $85,000 a year income. So even when inflation makes lower income status at $85,000 a year for comfortable living, they only got to work 1 job and live alone and have $80,000 a year. And that's if they don't decide to continue to reinvest in the success, where the principal continues to increase, which means the dividend distribution continues to increase as well. So Usman said, also, it only takes 1 generation to mess up the previous 5 generations' effort. No, it only takes 1 generation to mess up if you don't have a trust there, if you don't have a legacy there. Now, yes, if I built something 5 generations ago and nobody passes it on to the next generation, then yeah, it's going to fall short. But if I create it, I teach my kids, I'm old enough for my kids to be added on, so that I'm teaching my kids and my kids' kids, then 2 generations know what's going on. And if I have a trusted advisor that's their job is to make sure that the next generation knows what to do, then you're going to have somebody like a nanny, like it's going to be equivalent to Batman and Mr. Alfred, where this old head is telling this young buck what you need to do before you old enough to make your own decisions. You're going to be pissed off at this person, but this person is going to continuously tell you how to manage your money, how to manage your budget, how to manage your business, your great grandfather's business. And you either listen to him or you don't, but that guy is not going to be allowed, based on the contract that he signed, to allow you to fuck the money up. See, it's not like he's going to inherit my wealth and then he can mess it up. A trust is going to issue you money like an allowance. So if you put it all into a trust, they're only going to get a certain quantity of money. The only way it falls short is if nobody else is added on and everybody else dies out. But for example, if you say, well, in your trust that each beneficiary must have a life insurance policy, each beneficiary's life insurance policy must be must make the trust its beneficiary. If you do stuff like that, somebody says, well, shit, I can get $200,000 a year off of this trust if I follow the instructions of the trust. Well, that prevents them or reduces their ability to fuck it up. Then think about it. Add your beneficiaries are able to add their children to the trust, where when the children reach a certain age, they will be entitled to X number of dollars from their birth until such time. Then they'll be receiving distributions. And if you set it up like that, now you're looking at, oh, well, when your kids, you have kids, you're on this trust as a beneficiary. When you have kids, your kids reach 18, they'll get a $500,000 paycheck. Then they'll get a monthly distribution of $5,000 a month or something like that. That incentivizes you to add the kid onto the trust, because now you don't have to create a legacy because your great grandfather created the legacy. All you got to do is ride the wave. Now, again, to add your kid on, you got to take out a life insurance policy on the kid and have the beneficiary be the trust. So now the trust, in order for you to benefit from the trust, forces participants of the trust to cooperate with the process of the trust, which allows the trust to continue revolving itself. And anybody who believes, oh, well, if I put my 5-year-old on there, they're going to give me a $5,000 check for me and a $5,000 check for my kid, as long as I put a life insurance policy on the trust and pay for that life insurance policy. If you structure it correctly, you got to talk to not a real estate agent. You have to talk to a trust lawyer to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. An estate lawyer is what it's called. That's why I was about to say real estate. It's not a real estate lawyer. It's an estate lawyer, like a lawyer that handles inheritances, transition of property from generation to generation. You want to talk to them and a trust individual that has experience in building trust to make sure that these detailed clauses can be added into the operation of the trust. Once you fit that in there, it's like, bro, if you want to participate in getting free money, all you got to do is this, and this. And if they do that by following those instructions, the trust stays alive every generation. And then incentivizing and saying, well, if you add your kids on here, you get extra money. But those kids have to have this life insurance policy. The trust has to be the beneficiary of the life insurance policy. And if all checks check out, you'll get X number of dollars. You can even have it sent, and you can even have it incentivized from birth, and then have a scenario where the value increases over time, where you're basically going to start by getting a reasonable level of child support compensation for the child. And as the child gets older, the value gets larger. And since you're over the child, you get an extra check, almost like a stimulus check. That type of behavior, when you're building a trust, you're encouraging the next generation to follow your instructions in order to get money. And human beings are greedy and lazy at the same time. If all I got to do is whatever you tell me to, and now I don't have to work, I'm going to do whatever you say. Well, unless you're a woman, then there's going to be some bitching and complaining involved. But if you're a man, I'm going to do whatever you say within reason. So if all you're telling me to do is to fill this out, sign up here, add this, the money you're going to give me is going to cover the life insurance policy. The life insurance policy is going to pay the trust. If my kid dies, then I get more money from the trust. All the kids is going to be on the trust. I know you might not notice because you're not in America, but back in the 90s and the 80s, all low-income families, single mothers, was always trying to get their children a Social Security disability check. Everybody child just about, unfortunately, not my family. My mama wasn't like that. She's like, nah, y'all are competent. Y'all gonna take y'all behinds out there and get a job. But most of the people in the hood, they was on a check. They was getting a check on the 1st and the 15th. That's why when they came out with that song, I think it was Bone Thugs and Harmony, when they said they sang it first of the month song, the only reason why that song was such a hit was because everybody could relate to it, because you get a check from the government because you are deemed mentally incapable of taking care of yourself, whether it's from physical disability or mental disability. You get a check from the government so that you don't have to work, but your standard of living is limited because you're getting the money from the government. Now, you don't have to work, but you don't have a higher standard of living. So if I can guarantee you a higher standard of living, if you follow my instructions, and you see the standard of living I had when I was following my instructions, you're going to follow my instructions. So yeah, if I gave it to them, they probably would screw it up. But if I create a legacy and then I create a legacy, meaning that I create this and then I create children and then I teach them about this and then I'm showing them where the money is coming from that's giving them the standard of living that they got, and I show them how to reinforce that, they should show their kids how to do it. They should show, everybody else how to get on that bandwagon, because only certain people can be added to the trust based on the design of the trust. The more complex the trust is, the more steps that needs to be taken to get paid, the more steps that need to be taken to move the money around. And the fact is that if everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, the trust should not fail. The trust should be designed in a way where the trust invests more of the principal and gives out a percentage of the dividends distributed from the trust, so that there's always money in the trust to recycle more money. If the trust is only allowed to disperse 60% of its value, then that means that the trust is still going to have 40% reinvested, which means that your principal should increase by 40% every year outside of any massive payments from an unexpected loss, insurance policy. So if you do it right, it should always be there. And if you do it right and it incentivizes the next generation to participate in it, it not only should always be there, your grandchildren, your great-great-great-grandchildren should always be able to benefit from it. Now, you're not going to be here to see it, and who gives a fuck? But the fact is that no, you can still stop at 60. I'm in my 40s right now, and if I do my 20-year plan correct from 40, I can crack that code and be done at 60, and from 60 to 84 be living that Donald Trump lifestyle where I got money, where my kids from 50 to 65 would be able to say, "She, daddy made himself a millionaire. I'm gonna do what he got going on." And because if I got chillins and I'm traveling the world on this podcast, the children are traveling the world on the podcast with me. So their whole life is gonna be, dad's famous. I'm gonna be famous just like my dad. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z just like my dad. I'm going to take over the family business just like my dad. And I'm going to show them the ropes. Some of them, I don't want to be like my dad. You're always going to have that kid. But the ones that are going to do right, guess who's going to be the trustees? Guess who's going to be the power of attorneys? If I don't hire a third-party company and take their salary out of the trust to manage the thing, where whatever their price is, we would have to talk about their paycheck, whatever their paycheck is, comes out of the trust, and then that's going to come out of the 60% that's dispersed, and then the other 40% still gets reinvested. Either way, it still can be automated where you ain't got to worry about what's going on with your money. Usman says, it sounds familiar to me. I'm going to get my Social Security check and get my nails done. Yes, sir. Child, I'm going to get my hair did. We going to go see that new Drake concert. I'm going to get them backstage passes to Usher. They got all that. You got folks on Section 8, they getting a check. They rent is little to nothing, and they getting 2 to 3 times the rent. So the government is sending them money. They living in damn near a free house, and they still got $5,000 or $7,000 a month worth of money because they're getting all these stimulus checks, and they ain't got to work. They have to be either declared physically disabled or mentally disabled, and mentally disabled is mentally incompetent. But don't nobody care if they're getting free money. But just like those monthly Social Security disability checks, if your trust is set up the same way, you'll just keep getting money. The same steps that people got to do to get on Social Security disability, same steps you got to do to get on a trust. The only difference is that the trust is going to pay you a shit ton more money. You'll be living a low-income neighborhood, living a low-income lifestyle, not having to work with Social Security disability. But you'll be living a middle to upper class lifestyle and still not having to work if you do the instructions that you need to do to get on the trust. That's the difference. But it's incentivized. So if you was struggling, you like, shit, I'm going to get on my daddy trust, man. I'm tired of this bullshit. My daddy going to hook me up if I get on this trust. I ain't treat him right while he was alive, but I'm going to do good by him now. That means that they'll be kept once they fall in line. But if you don't want to fall in line, that's fine. You can suffer. There should be enough children. If I'm a passport bro and travel the world, there should be enough children where somebody's kids is going to get some. And you don't get some, your ass going to be stuck out. But if I built it and your ass didn't come, like Noah built the ark and half the people missed the boat, I'm not going to stop you from drowning. I'm not going to stop you from drowning. You have to check in to those neighborhoods. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's one of the things I'm like, nah, I ain't even trying to do all that. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why we talk about all the stuff that we talk about on the channel. So you can build. You don't need to be 60 years old or continue to be working after 60 years old if you do it right. So if you 20, 30, 40 years old and you create you a 20-year goal to get yourself to a millionaire status, your standard of living does not multiply by your investment platform where you're living a moderate lifestyle. You will reach your millionaire goal. You will reach your multimillionaire goal. And when you are making more money than your standard of living, you have the ability to raise your standard of living a little bit within reason. But you want to make sure, I told you guys before, that your standard of living should be 30 to 40% of the amount of income that you're getting paid in total. So your net income, not your gross income, your gross income is all the money that you get in the world. Your net income is the money that you get in the world minus taxes and fees, is this, that, and the third that you got to pay. That net income, that spendable capital, 30 to 40% of your lifestyle should be that spendable capital. So if you're making $100,000 a year, you need a $40,000 a year lifestyle. You got a $60,000 a year lifestyle, you need to be making between $150,000 and $250,000, where that 30 to 40% is inside of that capital. Now, understanding at 15 to 20%, at 15%, you need $2 million to make $300,000 a year. Because if you're making $150,000 a year off of $1 million, you need $2 million to make $300,000 a year to live on at really 30 to 40%. You're looking at 1/3 of $240,000 is $80,000 a year. But when you start talking about 40%, you're looking at almost $275,000 to $300,000 to live an $80,000 to $90,000 a year lifestyle at 1/3 to 40%, where 40% is what is 40%? Because that's 40 out of 100. I'm not good with fractions tonight because I've been up for 4 days. I'm tired, y'all. My day off is tonight technically, but I got a couple clients tonight after the show, and then after that I could take a break. So I will be semi-rested tomorrow, but I'm burnt out today. I had my AM stuff that I had to do. I had my PM stuff I had to do. I had a 2-hour, if that, nap. Can't really call it that. From 10 to 12, that's all I had, and then I was up for the rest of the day. And I was awake every 30 minutes checking the clock because I didn't want to mix my appointments at 12. So I was like, fuck. So didn't really get rest. And now I got extra work to do. So with that being said, I got a lot of time crunching. But yeah, it's doable. It's doable. But you in order for you to reach your 20-year plan, and the reason why it's a 20-year plan, it's a long haul. It's not a short, instantaneous, make yourself a millionaire right now. Because the more money you invest in yourself right now, the faster you make yourself a millionaire. But that requires you to reduce your standard of living from what you have gotten used to at 98% of your income or 80% of your income for the fiscally responsible low-income people. You would have to reduce your standard of living by 50% more in order. So half of the 90% that you're living at right now, you would have to reduce it by 50% more. So if you've got a $3,000 a year, $3,000 a month income, or a $5,000 a month income, and that lifestyle got you spending $2,500 a month, you literally would have to put forth the effort to shave your standard of living on that $3,000 to $5,000 a year income down to $2,500 a year or $2,500 a month, so that out of the $5,000 that you're making, you're only spending $2,000 of it. And that requires people to get a cheaper apartment, buy a used car instead of financing a new one, get more money on their job, work a second job if they can't afford all that stuff. If they got kids, you're gonna have to do less luxuries like subscriptions on platforms and stuff. There's a lot of changes that you got to make. Not going out and having a good time frivolously, not celebrating every time a new month come around. There's going to be a lot of changes that you got to make. If you're going to, instead of throwing a birthday party where you're paying for the event, where everybody's going to come there and eat off of your food for free and drink off of your drinks for free, you're going to have to hold an event with people that got money, so they will come to your event and potentially donate money to the birthday person, which essentially reimburses you for the event. But you can collaborate with other business owners and find ways to have other business deals with them. So your birthday party should be a business soiree with two objectives, where most people's gifts is going to be a check for the birthday boy or a birthday girl, which typically reimburses you for the event after everybody who got invited donates something. But you connect with everybody whether they donate or not, and now you've got people that you can call on to do business. You should be able to, as the person of honor of the day, you should be able to connect with each individual person that has come to the event who didn't leave before you got to them, find out what they do for money, and then see how they can benefit from you and how you can benefit from them, so that you can make money for you. And then you ride that event off your taxes. So you spend $900 on your birthday. It's a $900 tax write-off, but you should have made $5,000 off of that night. And you should have made future prospects to make more money off of it going forward for the rest of your life. If not, you fucking up. Usman said, I've been up for 4 nights, y'all. Xander has been on the street blading. I am not a day walker. I should be, though, with that big ass blade on my boot. I showed y'all how big that fucking takes up the whole shoe. God damn, that blade is big. And funny thing is that if I plan on going to downtown and I'm like, yeah, I gotta walk in such and such courthouse, I can't wear the shoes that day because the blade don't come off the shoe. I could wear the shoes, but what would have to happen is I'd have to bring me 2 pairs of shoes. I'd have to have 1 pair of shoes that I put on my feet to go in that courtroom. Then I have to have another pair of shoes that I put on when I come out of that courtroom. Then I can wear the shoes the rest of the day. Because, you only walking in the building one time. So, but, for the most part, though, yeah. I'm up all night. I'm up till 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Fuck, what time is that? 6 o'clock California time. That's a lot. That's like midday. That's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon for Green Minutes time. That's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon for Green Minutes time. I was awake when the sun was at its highest point of the day. I'm still awake, and the sun then took a nap and woke back up, and I'm still awake. It then gone down. The moon put in 12 hours, went to sleep. The sun came back up, and I'm still at work. That's how my life is. But on the plus side, I'm making money, make money for me. And I know that if I stick to it for a 20-year plan, no matter what your age is, if you stick to it, you're going to have the first 2 to 5 years is the adjustment years, because you have to make more fiscally responsible spending habit decisions in your first year. You're going to have to stick to that on your second year. You're going to have to do without unnecessary stuff on your third year as you watch that money grow. Because when you start having access to more money, poor mindedness might want to kick in and do a little bit of frivolous spending. I should treat myself to a gift. I should treat myself to something special and get something unnecessarily expensive that's not going to make money for you in the long run. That's not a wise thing to do. But once you get used to it, and then you recognize that you have to have 3 to 5 times more income than the cost of whatever it is that you're trying to buy, you stop making big purchases until you can buy 3 or 4 of that item. You don't buy a brand new car until you can afford to buy 5 of them. You don't buy a brand new house until you can afford to buy 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you stop. But once you learn that, you're like 8, 9, 10 years into the mix. It's like taking a keto diet. It's like joining a membership and sticking to the personal trainer's training regimen. It's like joining the military and adapting to the training exercises and the early morning routines and stuff. Once 5 or 10 years of you doing that, you get comfortable in it. That's when it starts becoming second nature. But that's when you start seeing the fruits of your labor. If you're not at $1 million in 10 years, if you're at $500,000 in 10 years, you're looking at the fact that you're getting at 20% interest, $100,000 a year back on your $500,000. Now, if you know that you don't need that whole $100,000 a year because you're living below that lifestyle, you're going to reinvest the portion that you don't need, which will increase your principal just that much faster. Now, once you start making more money than your standard of living, that is the point where you can quit your job. If you can accomplish that before 60 years old, and the poorer you are, the smaller that number is. Because if you're living a $50,000 a year lifestyle, you only need $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year to pay for your standard of living. And again, if 15% is $15,000 off of $100,000, then, well, yeah, $15,000 off of $100,000, that's 15%. So you would need $400,000 to have a $60,000 a year income. That's not $1 million. You're not a millionaire, but you also don't have to work. Now, if you continue to work and continue to reinvest, and if you're able to accomplish that inside of 10 years, if you doubled that, where now you're making $120,000 a year, by year 20, you can quit working. By year 22, you can definitely quit working. And then you can start traveling. You can start doing all kinds of stuff because you're making 2 times more than your standard of living. But if you start this at 30 years old, 35 years old, and you want to keep doing it until you're 70, you're putting in almost 30 years into this, 30, 40 years into this. And in doing that, you should have made $1.5 million, $2 million if you don't make any bad financial decisions along the way that drastically impacts the entire principal, which keeps you in a positive position where, worst case scenario, you're still looking at a couple $1 million where you're still getting 250 something thousand a year, and you're living $100,000 lifestyle, which is 50%. But you can still quit. You might choose not to because you're looking at the money. You like the way the money is working. You might want to travel the world and invest in some other things so that you got more money coming back from more places. But you're not quitting because you don't want to. You're not quitting because you can't. Because just like I said at the beginning of that little rant there, if you're making 2 to 3 times more than your standard of living, you created your legacy for your kids and your grandkids. Because they can live the standard of living that you're living if you're satisfied with your standard of living and not have to work. Now, if you take out that life insurance policy on yourself, when you die, $1 million hits the account, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. And you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that, because if you're building a trust, you're putting all this money into the trust, You have the trust built up where the trust is responsible for paying for the life insurance policy. You got to look and see if that is coverable, because the life insurance policy can be the beneficiary. But if the life insurance policy is able to cover the cost of the life insurance policy, and you can write that into the terms and conditions, then a check will go to the life insurance policy out of the profits. It's part of the overhead. The same way a check will come out of the trust to cover the mortgage for the property. So you don't got to pay for the property. The check will come out of the thing to cover the taxes on the capital gain. The check will come out of the thing to cover property taxes. So after all of the stuff is paid, the 60% that I told you about, after the stuff is paid, 40% gets put into the reinvested back in, and you're guaranteed to see increased wealth. But the 60% out of what's left over from the 60%, you should have 40% that you divide between everybody else. And if they want more money, they can make the trust more successful by taking your share and investing in something that you're going to then assign to the trust as a guarantor. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. But if you just want to go on autopilot, yeah. Working class people, normal suit, wealthy people, hand stitched Italian suit, Xander, Alaskan salmon fish scale suit with extra silver. Your suit is very reflective today. Actually, this is Italian hand stitched suits. So this is, I made sure. What do you know about Venezia? Designed in Italy. So you talking about it? You just said it. I'm gonna put it up there again because you said it. You said working class people normal suit, wealthy people hand stitched Italian suit, and Xander Alaskan salmon fish scale suit with extra silver. Now I'm telling you, VINCI, designed in Italy. Now that's what it say right there on the interior logo. Italian hand stitched suit. I just want y'all to know I don't play no games. I come from the mindset of wealthy. I wasn't born that way. I learned it. And once I learned it, I reinforced it. I also like shiny. I'm like a crow, not Jim Crow, but I'm like a crow. I like shiny. So since I like shiny, I wear shiny. And then because it's also satin, it gives that reflective, but because it's satin, it's also breathable. So I can wear this in a reasonably hot scenario and not bust out in a big sweat, and still be able to be presentable. So where I can come out of this and notice I don't have any sweat stains on my outfit because this is breathable. And because it's breathable, it also absorbs the cool atmosphere when I'm in an air-conditioned room. So when I walk outside into the heat, my suit is cold to the touch a lot sooner or a lot longer. So I don't experience the heat wave as fast as people that aren't wearing a suit. There's a dynamic behind it. And once I explain it to them, they're like, oh shit, if I would have knew that, I would have bought a suit. I'm like, yeah, once I started wearing the suits, I figured that shit out. I was like, damn, I got to buy more of these. It's 120 degrees outside and I'm 20 degrees colder than everybody else because I just walked out of an air-conditioned room. Because it absorbed the atmosphere. And then when I walked outside, it's chilly on my blazer, you know? So I had to pay $500 a suit when I paid for $500 a suit 15 years ago. I had to make it make sense for myself because there's no way I'm spending 20 grand on clothes and I'm not going to make this shit last. I bought it while I was in college and I like, yeah, this would be the last time for the rest of my life that I buy anything. Because I can still fit the same clothes that I was wearing when I was 16. My size has not changed. I don't even think my height changed. I might have got a half inch taller. I might have been when I was like 15, 16 years old, I might have been 5'4". And then as an adult, I'm 5 foot, not 5'4", like 5'5.25". And I probably gained an extra inch and went to 5'6.25". And I'm a little bit taller than Rey Mysterio. And that's it. That's it. But I can still fit the same outfit that I was fitting when I was 16 years old. So the suits that I'm wearing today, if don't nothing happen to them, I can still fit these same suits when I'm 70 years old. Because I don't see myself putting on a beer belly. I don't see myself coming out like getting 3 times bigger. I don't see myself joining a gym membership that's going to give me one of those Bobby Lashley body styles or nothing like that. So the same suit that I got on today would be the same suit that I could be wearing another 5 years from now, as long as I take care of my suits. Where I bought the suit freshman year of college, did 8 years of college, got out of college, 13 years ago, and I'm still wearing the suits. Same suits that used to turn heads over 2 decades ago. Same suits that are turning heads today. So those guys that are on TikTok doing the pinky blinder thing where they walking through public and doing crowd reactions, I've been doing that since like 2009, 2010. Like, what y'all doing? Like, y'all just started doing it. I've been doing it. They called me weird when I was doing it. Now they're calling it innovative. I'm like, I was ahead of my time. I was before and after, because this is 1920s to 1970s attire where men used to wear suits. And it's starting to come back in style in 2025. But I refuse to wear street clothes because the stereotype. I would never be misrepresented by Lil Jon and Eastside Boys. While special shout out for those guys, it's just the fact that I'm not dealing with handcuffs and holding cells because of the clothes I'm wearing. Because when's the last time had a police officer had a fight with a man in a suit, with a minority in a suit? They're going to say, probably haven't had a conversation with a man in a suit, positive or negative, in 10 to 20,000 people inside of that day, that week, that month, which then demands, well, since you haven't had a negative experience with a person in a suit recently, you should start off respectful and let's see where it goes from there. Because if you use the law enforcement has predetermined dispositions, stereotyping. It's not like racial profiling, it's stereotyping. This allows them to proactively act before bad things happen so that they're not caught off guard. But that stereotyping means, well, if you look at a person and they give off the kind of vibe that they might be hostile, the police will start off hostile so that when you get hostile, they already ready to go. But if you ain't never experienced nobody like this before, you shouldn't start off hostile, because it might not need to go that route. And that saves us all, because I would never want to be in a situation where I've got to activate the hazard pay because everybody's armed and I brought more ammunition to the conversation than they did. Usman said $500 suit 15 years ago is 9 cents a day suit. Solid return on investment. You and I have been doing the math, and depending on the suit that I'm wearing, yeah, we have been looking at between we said between 5 and 7 cents a day, or 9 cents a day is some of the most expensive suits that I had was 9 cents a day that over the last 15 years. And that's what we was discussing before. Like, yes, it is a very good investment, but it's only that good of an investment when you plan on keeping something like that. So notice we talking about like 15 years worth of holding on to this suit. Hold on to this suit for 5 more years. That's a 20-year plan, right? Before I buy another suit, 5 more years fly by before I buy another suit, right? That's a 20-year plan. Now, if I say, well, I'm going to buy me 1 more suit or 2 more suits, and if I was going to buy another suit, the suit that I was looking into is like a $2,500 suit, but I would be buying that suit because it's got knife-resistant stitching, bullet-resistant stitching in the suit. So it's got like body armor embedded in the suit, in the pants and everything, so that you don't have to be walking around like 3 times bigger because you're wearing body armor. It's embedded in the suit. So in addition to my body armor, I would have extra stage 2 embedded in my suit. So I would have a stage 2 bulletproof suit on top of a stage 3 body armor they'd be like, well, goddamn, how much, what are you trying to walk into? Well, if I'm walking around with a podcast where I'm talking about I am a millionaire, if I'm not about to become a millionaire, then at the end of the day, somebody's going to want to try it. And if it's knife proof and bulletproof, knowing that they can't kill me that quick unless they hit me in the head. And if they hit me in the head, I ain't got nothing to think about after that. But knowing that none of my vital organs will be got from a bad decision that's made by somebody else, I got more time to think rationally. That was the whole purpose of getting body armor, not so that I could be Superman and go cock diesel on somebody. It is because, especially when you're deciding to use your Second Amendment rights in America to utilize your firearm, you got to know what you're doing before you're doing it. So if the delay is thinking twice about this decision, and that delay gets you 2 slugs in the chest before you 3 slugs the other person, regardless of who the other person is, cop or otherwise, if you returned fire in defense of your life, you are more likely to prove self-defense than what you would prove if you were the first person to take the shot. Usman said, I currently weigh as much as when I left high school too. He said, you could walk into sunlight and blind people with this suit. Bro, remember the other day when we were on the show when I had the gold glasses on? And you were like, why is it so bright on the show today? And I told you nothing changed about the room. That's because of all the light reflecting off the suit. And that's another reason why I wear the glasses, because I still got light sensitivity, but I like shiny. Now, here's a kicker, because just because I like shiny, I'm not just buying it because I'm shiny. Imagine this, Oos. Now, all this brightness off of this suit, what do you think happens when I'm out at night? All you see on the side of the road, if I'm even on the side of the road, is a suit. Ain't no way I'm being hit by a car, because if there's any inkling of light shining on this suit, I can tell you it's reflecting that light back. So they're going to see a person there, the silhouette of a person there, because the suit just reflected to the car. So wear this suit at night. Less likely to get hit by a car. There's practicality behind it. Some people are like, bro, you're overthinking life too much. But am I? Am I? At 9 cents a day, I can wear the suit at night, not get hit by a car, not get gunned down by police, not get arrested accidentally by Homeland Security, not get picked up by FBI. You know, I think I'm doing a good job covering the spread. Yeah, you become luminous. That's right. I'm like the Black Green Lantern with this suit on. He's shine a flashlight in my direction and everything light up. They're like, oh shit. Had the police turn their spotlight off. Like, damn, I can't see nothing going on over here. That motherfucker he's a walking disco ball. Just, and I take it. I'm like, hey, get your jokes in, because at the end of the day, I can see you about as good as you can see me right now. Because worst case scenario, I can see real good at night. Worst case scenario, I take these glasses off. You're blinded. I'm not. I can see in the dark. You can't see me. You, John Cena, you can't see me, but I can see you. Now, let me touch base with some of this other stuff. They got liberalization of foreign landowners, rules, increase in international government. Now, the government's initiatives and urban development projects are boosting infrastructure and market appeal in Egypt, because Max Opposer and Fireball have come in a couple times and asked about buying properties in Egypt. Usman says the police will say to you, sir, get your suit out of my eyes. I have had somebody ask me if I could take my blazer off, and I have responded to them that that does qualify as search and seizure, because you would be seizing my coat. Oh, I've had this funny scenario where a police officer came and asked me. They pulled me over one day, and this was a lighter side of being pulled over, because I've had some situations that are just terrifying. But they pulled me over one day, and they only pulled me over because my car was older than them. So they weren't pulling me over to give me a ticket. They weren't pulling me over to give me a bad time. They were just impressed that the car still existed and it was still running. So they got me out of the car so that we could talk about the car and everything like that. And they were like, oh, yeah, I want to see what's in the trunk. I'm like, you don't want to see what's in the trunk. He's like, you got guns I need to know about? I said, you don't want to know if I got guns. We shouldn't even be talking about that because that's going to start a whole nother level of investigation. He's like, what else did you want to do? He's like, no, I just wanted to know, like, what year was the car? I told him what year the car was because me and the car was the same age. The car was created 2 months before I was born, manufacturing date. I love that car. And he was like, God damn, that car was old. I said, well, me and the car the same age. He's like, I'm so sorry, sir. Much respect. But like I said, man in a suit, I get better treatment. Usman said on Sundays, you said you do a question podcast. Could I get a question in? You could always get a question in. Every day of the week, you can get a question in. What I do is on Sunday is I go through a lot of questions. I try to pick the first 10 of the most recent questions asked over the week, and I put them up there. Or if I don't find 10 questions, I'll put up the 10 questions and comments that came out over the last week. But I always do within the last 7 days, I put those up there. And then we go over them. So it's relevant. It's not something that was archived from way back when. It is literally something that just came out in most recent times. If in the event that it is a relevant topic, just like what happened yesterday with the request for precious metals, the request for brokerages, like that's the kind of stuff that I would do a whole show about. So since they asked a question about it, I'm like, you know what? I should do a whole show talking about that. That way I could tell you I did cover that. And not only did I cover it, I covered it in extensive detail because it's a 2-3 hour podcast, 5-7 hour podcast, something like that. So it is one of those situations where I'm good with questions. But yeah, the whole show, every day of the week, whenever you're on, if you've got a question, I got you. You ask the question, I'll figure it out. If I don't have the answer on point, then I will do some research and I'll bring you back the answer on a follow-up show. But if I've covered some of the information and you weren't here for it and you got a question and I already covered the answer, I will re-give you the answer to some degree and then tell you where to go to get the rest of the information off my channel to answer that question if I've already answered that question once before. And that's one of the reasons why I'm covering Egypt, because Max Opposer and Fireball have come on and asked about buying real estate in Egypt. And I mean, I know they're joking around, but they're asking the question as if Egypt is nothing but desert and pyramids. And Egypt is more than just desert and pyramids. Egypt is a well-developed country, and you can live a damn good life out there. I'm looking at some of the real estate that's a bit expensive, but you can live a damn good life out there. You can invest in a lot of stuff out there. It's not one of the top 10 cheapest countries to live in, but you can make you a lot of money off of investing in Egypt. So I said, well, let's cover the show. Let's cover it. So go ahead, ask your question. I'm gonna tiptoe on some of this other stuff and see what we got going on. Affordability issues due to the rising unit prices is something that's happening in Egypt right now, despite the strong demands. So the property is starting to become expensive, and economic pressures and high inflation rates are affecting financing and investment costs. So the Egypt real estate market in 2025 is going to be presenting both opportunities and challenges, with significant price growth, emerging hotspots, and evolving consumer preferences shaping the industry's landscape. Now, this is how I do it. Read a little bit, answer a few questions, read a little bit, answer a few more questions, cover the spread. Question: what exactly is voltage? I have seen several definitions on YouTube videos from college teachers to but they differ a lot. There's debates about it in forums by professionals and academics. Voltage is supposed to be the ability to um, gauge energy like watts, kilowatts, amps, voltage. It's a unit measurement for energy, typically electric energy. However, in a scientific platform, voltage could be utilized to gauge like the hypothetical energy that is lost from two chemical compounds merging together could be rated as joules. Those joules could be converted into the hypothetical energy quantity can be converted into volts, can be converted into watts, can be converted into kilowatts, can be converted into amps in a situation where a chemical compound mixes together and then that produces an electric charge, and that electric charge can be utilized to power a house or some stuff like that. They will essentially try to use volts or voltage to gauge the distribution of electricity from that situation. And volts is an abbreviation of voltage, which is why the car Chevy Volt was named Volt as an abbreviation of Chevy Electric, Chevy Voltage, Chevy Electric. That's what it is. It's a unit measurement to gauge electrical current. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of different ways that they're going to spend it, but based on my understanding from all of the science and chemistry classes that I took for my microbiology degree, volts, amps, watts are the ability to gauge current, and it is traditionally used to gauge electrical current. Now, another way that they would identify volts would be the current tolerance level of electrical cables. So if you have like an 8 gauge or 12 gauge that can withstand 100 volts, or like an electric fence or something like that, that's like 1,000,000 volts, or a stun gun that's like a 2 million volts or 5 million volts, they're telling you either how much electrical output the item produces that you can potentially encounter or absorb, or the object that's connecting to it can absorb, or they're telling you the quantity of output that the conductor can withstand. And the conductor is any person, thing, or anything to that effect that allows an electrical current to pass through it. That's a conductor. And if it can, the tolerance level is the amount of current that can pass through it without it melting or deteriorating in its form. Because certain things get hot, then it catch on fire. Certain things get hot, and then it melts. The quantity that it can withstand before it starts to compromise the integrity of the item, of the conductor, that is the voltage that it can withstand. So Usman says voltage equal to a measure of electrical energy from one point with respects to another. From one point to another, and that's going to be with respects to the conductor that it's traveling through. Because you could have 1,000,000 volts travel through a 10-volt conductor, and only 10 volts are getting through. Like a fuse box, where a fuse can only handle 10 volts or 20 volts. Typically, they gauge the fuse boxes by amps, but hypothetically, if the fuses were gauged by volts, if in the event that a fuse had more than the quantity of voltage that it would tolerate surging through the line, the fuse would break, would melt, and then break, and then that current would stop, which would prevent having too much current flow through that fuse. Now, speaking of fuses, for those of you that have cars and you want to improve the quality of certain areas of your vehicle without having to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of upgrade kits. There are certain areas of your electrical system where you can change your 5 or 10 amp fuse for a 20 amp fuse, and you will get better performance, like the fuse for your fuel pump, the fuel for your headlights, the fuel for your interior dome lights. Now, granted, by increasing that fuse above the standard regulated fuse limit, you're going to do two things. You're going to draw more power from your battery, which is going to draw more power from your alternator, which is going to cause more wear and tear overall, but it is going to increase performance in certain areas while limiting the restrictions of power surges. So, your ignition switch coil might overwork itself if you don't be careful with what you're doing with that. But I've been able to see it get 5 or 10 horsepower if you do it right. Because if your fuel injectors are pumping out because they went from a 10 amp to a 20 amp, or from a 20 amp to a 30 amp, and your fuel injectors are running good, your fuel line is running good, and because current is only going to flow based on its limiter. So if you eliminate the limiter, then there's no limits to the maximum performance. Technically, there's no limit to the performance, but the maximum performance that your car can perform will not be limited based on the fuses that are in that car. So there's that. Usman says, another question. When traveling through a circuit, how does electrons lose energy? Well, electrons don't lose energy. Electrons are energy. That is going to be the transition. Hence the name electron. That is the electrical charge of the atom. So how does that electron break the bond with the atom it's attached to, and then formulate a bond with another atom as it travels through that current? And that is either going to be a covalent or ionic bond. It's either going to be a single bond or a double bond. And it also depends on what else you're dealing with when it comes down to that current, because you have chemical equations that are utilized where the reactants require a heat source. And if you use electricity as your heat source, the chemical equation might be different than what it was if you use fire source. So there is for example, people who vape the vape pen, you have the chemical equation of either the nicotine or the cannabis in liquid form, plus the electrons, the hydrogen atoms, the electrons from the battery, which is essentially battery acid, that goes into the tube, increases the particle movement inside of the tube, turn it into a vapor after it reaches boiling point, and then you're inhaling the chemical equation for the substance that you're inhaling, plus the added hydrogen atoms that was the electrical current that heated up the liquid in order for it to turn into a vapor, in order for you to breathe it, in addition to the oxygen that you take in. So when you blow it out, you have carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, plus the hydrogens, plus the chemical equation for either nicotine or cannabis that you're exhaling, that didn't bond with the NAD or NADH that's going through your circulation system, producing the ATP in your body. So that's one of the reasons why people can inhale and then get that lightheaded, woozy feeling, and then start getting that numbness feeling all over their body, is because of the chemical reactions from setting the thing on fire, inhaling it, having it react inside of your body, and then having that reaction pass through your body. And then you expel it either through exhale or when you use the bathroom, and that's why they do blood sample and urine test, because what you consume will stay in your body until you expel it out when you use the bathroom. So if you're not throwing it up, it's got to come out the other end. And until it comes out the other end, it's more likely still in your system. So if you got another question, feel free. Talking about math class, I am a teacher. Math, science, physics, I do some stuff. You're going to ask me some left field questions somewhere, and I'm going to be like, bro, you reach a point where I don't know. Because I know that when I was a kid, I used to ask my dad so many questions until he told me the truth. Son, I don't have all the answers. I have enough to get me by, though. But I don't have all the answers to all the questions. He also used to tell me, though, where there's a will, there's a way, though. So if I really wanted to know the answer to that question, I'd go find out, and then I'd come telling you about it. But if I'm not interested to the answer of the question, then odds are I'm just going to leave it at, I don't know. I stopped asking questions. Started going to find my own answers. So, and that also is part of the legacy that I have right now, is because not only do I look for something new every week, something new every day, I also look for new things for you guys. So as y'all ask me about stuff, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I found something else that I didn't know. Now I'm going to go do some research on it. And that continues to stimulate my ability to enhance my knowledge. Now, in the new administrative capital, residential units are ranging from $1,981 to $195,030. The average starting price for residential units is around $1,070 per square meter, which is approximately 20,400 Egyptian pounds per square meter in exchange rates. And for houses specifically, the median price is 9,849 Egyptian pounds per square foot, which is approximately 106,000 Egyptian pounds per square meter. And the 4-bedroom houses have a median price of 11,192 Egyptian pounds, which is approximately 120,500 Egyptian pounds per square meter. I did not get the American currency exchange for that, but apparently it, for every 100,000 pounds, it is about $1,900. So I'm like, that's a little cheap. What is the electrical charge then? Also, I've read that when electrons lose energy, they go into the lower orbital of the conductor's atoms, or something like that. Now, the hydrogen atoms will shift orbitals, because that's what I'm thinking about when you're asking me that question. Because you're asking me, what is the electrical charge? Then the electrical charge would be the energy that is emit the particle. I can't tell you exactly where it comes from. It has it when we start talking about it in college. It has it, and then that energy transfers. The electron itself transfers from one to the next. Right. So the actual electrons of the atom, you have different orbitals of electrons. And those orbitals are going to flow in different patterns. And some of them flow from the upper orbital to the lower orbital. But I do not believe that they shift to the lower orbital because they have lost energy. It is possible, but I believe that that was the pattern of that particular electron, because the lowest form of energy that I have remembered hearing about was the atom, which is where the atom bomb came from, because splitting an atom had a Hiroshima explosion. And the electrons that are attached to the atom is the electrical charge. When you pass the electron from one atom to another, that is when the atom loses an electron. I've read that online, but I think it's advanced physics. Yeah, I've taken some, not a lot, of advanced physics. I think I made it to like physics 3 in college. But I did to say that I went into quantum physics, I did not go into quantum physics. Valence electrons, right? Now, the valence electrons, when you start talking about a double bond, you might deal with valence electrons that may shift orbitals because the charge is being shared between two atoms. But the charge is the electron that is being shared between two atoms. The electron itself doesn't throw out any energy that I'm aware of that causes it to no longer have a charge, where an electron can effectively become a neutron, or an electron can effectively become a positron. I have not heard of that. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that I haven't heard of that. I have not heard of or evaluated a scenario where I have experienced, heard, or anything to that effect, the process, formula, or any way, shape, or form concept of an electron dispelling energy to become a neutron or a positron, a proton. So when it comes down to the atom itself, the negative charges on the atom is the electron. The positive charges on the atom is the proton. The neutral atoms on it, the neutral, I would say parts on it would be the neutron. And when the atom is negatively charged, it has more negative electrons than positive than protons, right? And if it has more protons than electrons, then it's positively charged. And when it shares an electron, because the electron is the only thing that leaves the atom, not the neutrons or the protons. The neutron is the middle, the nucleus, the middle guy. The proton stays there. And when the electron leaves, that's when the charge of the atom reduces. And when it shares, that's called a bond. When it shares that electron with another chemical like H2O, the hydrogen atom shares the electron with the oxygen atom in a single bond. That is the shared energy of the electrons for the bond is equivalent to jumper cables between two cars. And if you notice that the power level, the output of your car is reduced when you're connected to another vehicle that is siphoning off your energy. So that is that's my understanding of it. Now, I can double check to make sure I'm not wrong about it, but that's my understanding of it. If I can find, matter of fact, let me see if I can ask the Google lady. Because I try my best to be informed. See, when I open an extra window, the browser gave me the middle finger. This is what happens every time I call myself trying to do my due diligence. Hold on. It then probably ain't enough processors on this bad boy to run. Look, it ain't gonna let me do it. It ain't gonna let me do it. So I'm gonna have to get me a faster laptop. Hold on. Give it back to me now. I didn't close the thing. Give it back to me. Let's see. Because I was sitting over here trying to figure out, like, soon as I tried to pull it up, whole thing froze. I don't know, man. I told you I tried to look it up. Let me see if I can turn down something else and get this thing to push itself out. Did it close? Did it go offline? No, it's just buffering. There it is. All right, because I was about to say, hold on now, because I know we're gonna try to see if we can get. Be patient with me now, because it ain't. Yeah, I know. I froze up like a son of a. I see the comments coming in. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do something and then do something else. Because this happens when we start talking about stuff we're not supposed to be talking about. Gotta kick myself out and come back in and be like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, wait, what the? But I was about to go ask the Google lady. This bit said, nope, you not. But apparently it can go to a lower orbital when it loses energy and go to a higher orbital to leave the atom when it gains energy. Tis confusing. Well, so when it comes down to the electron itself, by itself, from my understanding, the electron does not go to, yeah, it's my fault, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. He asked me a question. I was trying to pull it up, and I think I'm doing 1080p high definition for y'all today. And I think that I'm at the maximum capacity of the processors of this 8 GB hard drive. So I think that when I tried to open up another browser, because I've got 2 or 3 browsers open, that it kind of kicked me in the teeth and wouldn't let me open up another browser. That's not Usman's fault. That's my fault. I got to get me a bigger computer, but a bigger computer cost me like $2,500, and I ain't got that kind of money yet. So, you got to make some profits off the podcast before you can buy a better computer and get one of those 1 terabyte ones that has the 1 terabyte of RAM to process the computer. But back to your statement, though, as far as I understand, the electron by itself does not gain or lose energy by itself. I believe that, and I'm going to double check it, and then I'll be able to cross-reference on you as soon as I can double check that. But I believe that the energy of the electron is shared between 2 atoms, and that is when that shared energy causes it to go to a lower orbital, which allows it to maintain the bond with the other atom and stay with the original atom. And then the one that is the valence electron, which is the one that's at the highest point, that is the one that would leave the atom and go to another atom. But like I said, I gotta double check, triple check, make sure that what I'm telling you is correct. I was trying to apologize to a viewer. My question, my fault. Nah, you good, bro. You good. You good. You good. We do this, that, and everything in between. So when we talk a lot about money. We talk about business and finance. We talk about relationships, sociology, social inequalities. We talk about other countries, investments around the world. If you decide to ask me a question about math and science and physics and psychology, and you start picking my brain on like philosophy, we've already had a conversation about guns, showing guns and weapons on the show, and we've had conversations about religion on the show. There's no channel that we won't touch. But my fault, not your problem, my fault, because I had to open TikTok so that I could put the links into TikTok, not TikTok, Twitch. And because Twitch is running in the background, I already have the show on 2 different screens so that I could post comments to Twitch. And then the problem is that since I've got the podcast running on StreamYard, that's 1 live stream. The podcast running on Twitch, that's 2 live streams. Then if I open up a 3rd browser to double check your question, now I'm running 3 browsers on 1 laptop. And that's what happened. It couldn't handle it. Not with 1080p on 2 live streams. I'm doing the most because normally I do 720p on 2 live streams. And then I could have pulled it back up. No, it's not. You said, are you college or high school? I teach as much as 2nd year college. I got some master's degree students, bachelor's degree students between 2nd and 4th year. So I've got I would say 1st and 2nd year in a master's program, and 2nd and 3rd year in a bachelor's program, and all the students from 4th grade to 12th grade. That's what I got going on in about 15 countries around the world. And you said TikTok question mark. You made me second guess you then. Yeah, no. I ain't on. I keep doing that because I got Twitch, and Twitch is well known. Special shout out to Red Void, Danny Steffen, Mr. Pibbs off of Twitch. Twitch is easy to do. Twitter though, because Twitter X and Twitter is like TikTok. It just got Elon Musk owning it, and Twitter is the X that I got going on, and that's running in the background. But TikTok, I don't have a stream key for TikTok. I got to put in work to get a stream key from TikTok. That's going to cost me money, and that's why I don't invest in TikTok. I got to invest in Twitter too to get a stream key, but I get a lot more people from, because you got to look at the platforms. YouTube is 35 and older. TikTok is 25 and under. Twitter is news, business, and finance. So since my podcast typically caters to middle-aged men, TikTok is not one of the platforms that would blow up my channel. Now, people who are broke that need money and they want to get rich quick scheme, they might jump on me from TikTok. But I would receive more traffic from Twitter. I would build a larger followership faster from Twitter. I would build a larger followership faster from YouTube. I would Twitch is a gamer platform. TikTok is starting to become a gamer platform. And that's one of the reasons why it's hard to get in there, because until you get those 10,000 subscribers, they want you to have a game being played on the show while you're airing the show, which requires me to have a browser open for TikTok, a browser open for the game, a browser open for StreamYard for the live stream, a browser open for Twitter. You see what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why I was experiencing all those freezes before, because when I was on a show, I don't have the ability to split screen and have one thing over here and one thing over there. So yeah, it's cheaper for me to just stick to the three and do Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. But if I'm doing 1080p because people are complaining about the camera quality, I can't quickly jump up and say, oh, let me pull up this other window that I can do some research and answer some questions in real time. But I am still going to answer that question. I'm going to look into it, and then I'm going to get back to it. And then when you show up tomorrow, I'm going to be like, oh, guess what? I did some digging, and this is what it is. And then we both got an understanding of it. Yes. Oh, no, not some. That's one of the lawsuits that happened from 40 different states in America, that the children that are watching a platform from 16 to 25 have a short attention span because Twitch has promoted religiously 1-minute short videos, and they have a For You page where you just keep swiping up. You will watch 60 to 120 different videos an hour. So the average watch time of the Gen Zs is 15 seconds. If you can't catch them in 15 seconds, they've swiped past your channel. So in order for me to capture people like you on my channel, I have to say something that caught your attention in that first 15 to 45 seconds for you to hang around for 2 or 3 minutes and say, okay, let me see what this guy's got to offer. And if I say something of value in that 3 to 5 minutes that you decide to hang out, then you decide, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to keep coming back here. And then every time you come back, you're experiencing something different, something new, something more innovative or whatever that inspires you to keep coming back. Because if I was talking about the same thing every day, you might have been inspired the first day. You might have been like, okay, second day. Come third day, you'd be like, nope, not interested anymore because he said the same thing 3 days ago. But when you every time you pop up, you're like, oh, he's talking about something new. He's talking about something different. He's addressing a concept, the same concept that he addressed last week. He's addressing that from a different angle. And now he's not even talking about the same stuff. He's just talking about the same type of situation from a different way. And that builds diversity in the show. You say, your suit caught my attention, then I stuck around for what you said. Well, that's another reason why I change my suit every day, because I used to wear the same outfit for my show every day, and you could not tell the difference between one day and a different day. I would have my podcast outfit, and then I would have whatever I was wearing for the rest of the day. Then what happened was I was talking to some folks on a channel in March of last year about how young men can pull their pants up, tighten their belt up, put on some decent shoes, save them money on dressing nicer, increase their social status based on how they're looking, and save money based on the cheap price of the suit versus the expensive price of the name brand clothes, where you can get stylish Italian stitched suits for cheap in comparison to the quantity of money you're paying for Louis Vuitton and Rocawear and stuff. And then instead of you only having trending clothes that are expensive based on name brand, you have clothes that outlast the test of time, where the only thing that's going to make you replace this is the fact that somebody or something damaged your outfit beyond repair, because you can take it to a dry cleaner and get the stains out. But if you can't get the stains out, the person that damaged your suit is supposed to replace your suit. So that's like reimbursement for the damages incurred. So, that's what led me to the challenge, because me and somebody else that I was doing this with had done 2 conversations about a well-dressed man being a high-value man. And after we did those 2 shows, I said, I'm going to put out a challenge. And everybody who comes to the show got that same challenge, to make it a habit to find the best dress attire that you can find and wear it every day, no matter what you do. Not wearing the same outfit every day, but dress your best. So if you can find a button-down shirt and some slacks, if you got a polo and some jeans, if you can find a way to look like your supervisor or your supervisor, if your supervisor don't dress respectful, if you can find a way to look like you're on your way to church, on your way to court, on your way to a business meeting, and you make that a daily habit, you'll find out it's cheaper, it's more convenient, you feel better, people talk to you better, and then more doors open for you. So based on that, I said, I'm going to start doing it every day just because. So I come to the podcast with a different suit every day. And then I go through my closet and I'm like, hold on, have I worn this recently? And then I try to change it and put on something else and put on something different and put on something different. And then I'll circle back to one that I haven't worn in a while, but I try to make sure that I put on each different outfit. And not all the time do I company a vest. Sometimes I just do the shirt and tie. Sometimes I do the tie, the shirt with the vest. Sometimes I've had the sweater vest on one day. I had the full cashmere sweater on with the tie. I come in there sometimes with no tie, but I show that there are multiple different ways that you can come 365 days a year with 60 suits, where you can literally look like a millionaire without having to try. You can literally come out looking like you're ready for business every day, where you don't have to try. And if you get scotch resistant, wrinkle free kind of scenarios, you don't even got to iron your clothes. You can just throw it on and just wear it, and you don't have to try. But you will be so used to and so comfortable with dressing up to the point where you will feel uncomfortable to have a button-down shirt, no tie, untucked. You will feel uncomfortable, but you will still be looking better than everybody else in the room, because not too many people have that mentality that I'm going to look nice no matter what. And that's one of the reasons why those boys that are doing a Pinky Blinders thing can walk through a mall and turn heads, not because they look like hitmen, not because they look like mafia, because they are sharp, well-dressed men in a society that forgot what looking respectable, self-respect look like. So now everybody else that's wearing flip-flops and short shorts and socks, no sandals on or whatever, and they're out there doing their bare minimum, basically rolling out of bed and walking out the house with whatever they're wearing. They look at somebody else in a 3-piece suit and they can't help but stare, because they're like, shit, I can't even afford that, because I spent so much money buying other stuff that I should not have bought. But that suit, you really, in a suit like this, there are certain things that you should be able to afford to pay other people to do for you, so that you don't got to get your suit dirty. If you're investing your money wisely, I shouldn't have to change my own oil. Just because I'm wearing a suit, I should be able to afford to pay somebody else to change my oil for me. I shouldn't have to do certain things in life. Like I don't go get my own groceries a lot of times. I have somebody deliver them to my house. When I leave to go places, and I leave to go places like Blade Trinity, you're right. I'm out there. I got the big ass like Crocodile Dundee blade on my shoe. I've got the suit that matches the outfit, that matches the pistol, that matches everything. And I'm walking out there with I got the drop leg holster. I got all this so they can see the Glock. Well, it's a Smith & Wesson shield, but they can see the pistol on the leg, and they see the 3-piece suit. And I managed to make a drop leg holster look significantly well in a 3-piece suit, to the magnitude where they're like, he should be a hit man. And then with the stereotype of the color of my skin, you got a lot of people looking at me like, oh, he about to go do something bad, because I mean, he looked like he about that life. But all I'm doing is going to the post office, going down, take the dogs to the park, you go do a business deal, something like that. But the fact is that if you're dressing for your job, if you dress for the job that you want, that's a good advice, Usman. If you dress for the job that you want, or if you dress for the respect that you want, because you don't always have to you don't have to dress for pay, because social status is going to be where your mutual respect comes from. They respect you based on how much they think you're worth. You don't have to overdress to win people over, but you also don't have to underdress either. You don't have to dress like you from Boys in the Hood. You can wear something respectable. You don't have to go through like what I go through and do a 3-piece suit every day. You can do, like I said, a polo and some slacks. You can do a button-down shirt sometimes, but you can also do a sweater. Not a sweater, but a turtleneck. You don't always have to do a tie. You can leave the tie out. You can do the button-down shirt and have the collar open without the tie. You don't have to do everything that I do, but you can always look no less than Business Casual Friday. If you look anything less than Business Casual Friday, and Business Casual Friday is a polo, jeans, and some sneakers, and if you look anything less than that, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You should be able to look like a Boy Scout leader. You should be able to look like a camp counselor. You should be able to look like the gym coach. You should be able to look like the principal. You should look like the lawyer, the clerk, like, look, I can go down a list of kind of people like the bank managers. You should be looking like individuals that you respect in your society. You should be looking like that. And when I say respect, I'm not talking about the people that you idolize, like rappers and stuff like that. I'm talking about when you go through life, the people that you communicate with respect, you should be looking like them. When you yes sir and no sir to bank teller, they're wearing a polo shirt and some khaki pants, or a polo shirt and some Dickies. On Friday, they might wear a polo shirt and some jeans. That's the lowest you'll see them wear. But most of the time, they got a button-down shirt tucked in, tie, slacks, dress shoes, penny loafers, no less. Right? So the people that you respect, when you say, I want to talk to the manager, and the manager shows up, everybody else might have on a polo shirt. The manager got on a button-down, at least a white button-down shirt with a black tie. So the people that you yes sir, no sir, in a world where you can't tell me what to do, that's how you're supposed to look on a daily basis. And that's what I ascribe to. As a result, when I leave my house and I go places, people are going to show me the respect that I deserve. Even if they don't agree with me, even if they don't cooperate with me, they're still going to not cooperate with me with respect. They're not going to give me what I want. They're not going to do what I want them to do, but they will yes sir, no sir me. They will no sir me all day and not do what I want them to do, as opposed to, bitch, get the fuck out of here. You can't tell me what the fuck to do kind of stuff. You see what I'm doing? There's a big difference in attitude. There's more negotiation and less, I'm going to call the police. It's like, look, we can delegate this. But if you dress like you could be a problem before they're willing to negotiate, they'll call the police. And so now you can't resolve your issue. So I've been teaching people, dress that set. So it paid off because I didn't put the suit on to attract people to the show. I put the suit on to teach people that if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's why when I come from the investment mindsets and I start talking to you guys about different things that we can do, people ask me, oh, you're talking about all of this, but are you doing it? Well, yeah, that's exactly why I'm telling you about it. Like, you missed it. I talked about it before you got on the show, but I told you guys about the REITs. I bought $2,500 worth of REITs. And I'm waiting on a dividend. The ex-dividend is supposed to be the last week of February. So the ex-dividend is going to be the last week of March. So sometime between the 20th and the 31st of March, I should get my first dividend distribution because I invested in it between the 15th and the 20th of February. So I should get a payout from all 3 stocks that I had bought last month when I was telling y'all about investing in the trust. Not the trust, investing in the REITs, the real estate investment trust. So I figure as I make myself more successful, as things start to improve, as y'all start seeing me traveling around while I'm live on a podcast, you can be like, dang, how'd you get there? And anybody who was watching me in the beginning, and that's why some of my podcasts are boring as fuck. I know they are because the podcast solely is like information for dummies, where I'm giving you the intro level information on all of that stuff, because there's going to come a time where I'm going to be talking about the advanced level. And the only thing I'm going to say is intro level information. Go watch my other episode, because I took the time out of the week, out of the month, out of the year to do an intro level topic on that place, on that topic, on that situation. Like today, I'm going through Egypt. When we touch on Egypt again, I'm not going through all that other stuff. You asked me information about Dubai. When I touch back on Dubai a second time, all the stuff I went on last time, I'm not talking about that. What I'm going to be talking about next time I touch on Dubai is the extra stuff, the more detailed stuff. So when somebody says, oh, well, what about this? What about that? Well, you got to go look at the other Dubai episode to get the other stuff. That's why, so some days you come, and that's why I figure someday, usually Tuesday and Wednesday, well, more like Wednesday and Thursday, less people come through because of not only the topic and the length of the topic, but because like the whatever podcast airs right now, they're live for 6 hours. So a lot of traffic goes in the opposite direction on Wednesday because they go live on Sunday and Wednesday. But my Tuesday, Wednesday topic, my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday topics typically fluctuate with viewership, because depending on the topic, not a lot of people are interested in the intro level information. They want the advanced information. But I want to be that a legacy reputation where I am the source of all information finance related, the source of all information success related, the source of all information successful business decisions related. And in order to do that, I've got to at least do the intro information one time. Then a year, 2 years, 4 years down the line, 5, 7 years down the line, I could tell you, hey, go back and look at my 2024 video. You'll see exactly what you asked me. It's in that video over there. And then continue to talk on the advanced level. And anybody that's following me for years to come, when we start talking about the more advanced stuff, we're going to be like, oh, snap. That's when everything starts coming together. And that's when I can coin 3 different shows that I did. That was one day, one full topic, another day, another full topic. And I can now say, oh, this show talks about that. Now let's talk about the next step. Usman said, Blade's black coat blends in with the shadows. So Xander's silver suit will straight up blind you. Well, they said silver kilt werewolves, right? So I ain't got to worry about no wolves. I got to worry about chicken heads, though. Now, back in Egypt, they have in Cairo, property prices are expected to rise about 10% since 2024, and the median sale price for a property in New Capital City, which is part of Greater Cairo, is approximately $511,000 US, which is pretty pricey. Now the price range, that's American prices right there. That's like a 3 or 4 bedroom house right there. Now the price range for different property sizes in New Capital City, where the 1 bedrooms are $249,000, 2 bedrooms $430,000, 3 bedrooms $664,000, and 4 bedrooms is $1,100,000. That is way higher than American prices because their 5 bedrooms are averaging at $1,915,000. That is a lot of capital for you to get a 5 bedroom house. That house better have a zoo in the backyard. That house better have all kind of going on. They killing me. You talking about $2 million for a 5 bedroom house? I could get that's like California prices right there. Usman said, after blinding you, Xander will shout dividends, generational wealth, living abroad, smart investments until you get the message. Damn right. Damn right. But if you can't see nothing except wealth, then I did a good job. And hashtag that should trend. If you can't see nothing other than wealth, then I did a good job. Usman said that house better have bedroom view of the pyramids. That house better be built inside of a freaking pyramid. Talk about $2 million for a 5 bedroom house. That's some California prices, bro. Because a 5 bedroom house, depending on what state you're getting it for in America, is going to be like $600,000 or less. You got some 3 and 4 bedroom houses in America that are well, actually, you got some 3 bedroom houses in America that are $140,000, and you got 4 and 5 bedroom houses in America that are $250,000 to $300,000, $400,000 to $500,000, 2-story houses with 20 acres of property on them, right? Now, when you start talking about $1 million, you start talking about commercial property often than not, unless you're dealing with the 8 to 10 bedroom house that has 5 or 7 bathrooms, 2 living rooms, 3 kitchens, a garage that is a 2-story garage attached to the house or separate from the house with a wraparound driveway with a fountain in the middle of it that never turns off and an electric gate that's 22 feet tall that requires a guard to open the door to get into your driveway kind of thing. That I can see $2 to $8 million. But just a regular average, I should have grabbed some pictures of some of them bad boys, but they probably got for $2 million a house on a hill somewhere or a house in a very good location for the sunset and the sunrise with like a gravity pool where you've got like this 20-foot long lap pool that has like the waterfall kind of thing where it looks like the horizon. They call them horizon pools, and they probably got like a 2-story house with a basement, and the basement's got a theater in it or something. I could see that being $2 million, but just 5 rooms. I did 4 or 5 rooms where you got with 5 rooms, you should have 5 rooms, 3 bathrooms, 1 bathroom's in a master bedroom, and the other 4 rooms share 2 bathrooms. Then you have a washer and dryer in there, a kitchen, a dining room, and then you should have a living room separate from the dining room and a 2 to 4 car garage. That's a 5 bedroom house. That's about $500,000. American prices. But it doesn't have a pool. It's on an acre or less of property. It's like 2 to 4,000 acres, between 2 and 4,000 square feet, somewhere in that area. But that's about it. So if it's like a 3,000 square foot or 4,000 square foot house, it's got all of that stuff in the house, in those walls. I need to get some sleep. Thanks for the investment STEM chat today. Until next time, Xander, I'm going to see you again, Usman. I really appreciate you coming to the show. Thank you so much. I do only got 2 hours left anyway, because I do got that 3 a.m. that I got to deal with. So I am going to try to wrap this up, because I'm at 17 to 44 pages. So I'm going to try to get through. Now, the energy and logistics in Egypt, they have Egypt is focusing on renewable energy projects and logistics hubs to enhance its regional position as a trade facilitator. Now, they have strategic locations like Suez Canal, where they zone opportunities in transportation and industrial development. They're manufacturing, the government focusing on the shift towards export-driven economy with investments in engineering industry, textiles, and building materials. In the tourism department, they have a rich historical heritage. Egypt continues to attract investments in hospitality and tourism infrastructure, especially in cities like Hurghada, Hurj Hada, and Sharm el Sheikh. I'm probably saying those wrong. They have some governmental initiatives where improving business is the environment that they're trying to work on. They're streamlining regulations that reduce bureaucratic obstacles and legislative reforms, such as investment law number 72, 2017, that encourages foreign direct investors. They have private sectors for growth, where the private sectors now accounts for 63% of total investments in Egypt, reflecting increased confidence and opportunities. They have sovereign funds of Egypt, where they're planning to double the TSFE assets, aiming to maximize returns from underutilized state assets through strategic partnerships. And their advantages of investments in Egypt include strategic locations like Egypt's geographic position connecting markets in Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Their larger consumer market, with a population exceeding 115 million, demands for housing, goods, and services that's going to be rising coming soon. In their affordable property prices, they compare to other regions where real estate prices remain competitive with strong growth potential. But they do have some challenges, because the economic pressures, such as inflation, may impact affordability for some sectors, and investors need to navigate regulatory frameworks carefully despite ongoing reforms. Now, Egypt's diverse economy, coupled with government-backed initiatives and strategic urban projects, make it a promising destination for investors seeking long-term growth across multiple industries. Now, they do have some tax reforms. Under law number 162 of 2023, investors can receive refunds of 35 to 55% of corporate taxes paid on income generated from eligible products within specific industrial sectors. They have strategic projects that may be exempt from all taxes except VAT for up to 5 years, provided they begin operations within 3 years. They have free zones where businesses operating in those free zones are exempt from most taxes for permitted activities, including customs duties and sales tax. And financial benefits, where we're dealing with utility subsidies, up to 50% exemptions on basic utility costs for a maximum of 10 years, subject to approval, though. And infrastructure cost reductions, where investors may receive exemptions of up to 50% on infrastructure and public service costs. Now, ease of doing business in Egypt is something that everybody wants to look at. So the simplified procedure is the government is reforming legislation and streamlining the processes to make it easier for foreign investors to establish and operate businesses. Now, foreign investors are allowed to transfer profits abroad without restrictions, and Egypt's position provides access to markets that are supported by the free trade agreement with over 70 countries, including the Middle East, Europe, Africa, and Asia. with the increase of 115 million of the population, they're offering an excessive quantity of goods and services demand in Egypt. And let's see, we've already talked about the technology sector that is growing rapidly in digital transformations. Now, the Egyptian government ensures fair treatment for all investments and protects foreign investors' rights through guarantees under the investment law. The General Authority for Investment provides guidance and support for setting up businesses in Egypt. Now, there is the language barrier that's going to be there, and not everyone speaks Arabic, and that can make communication and negotiations tricky. But with the right partners and resources, this obstacle can be easily overcome. Or you can just utilize some of the technology that's out there right now, like the headphones and glasses and stuff that translates 150 plus languages to your language in real time, where you don't need an extra person. However, you might need an extra person to respond to them if they don't know English. Now, finally, some people worry about the political and economic uncertainties in Egypt. It's true that the country has faced its fair share of challenges in recent years, but the government is working hard to stabilize the economy and create an investor-friendly environment. Despite these challenges, Egypt has a lot to offer investors. The country is home to a large and growing population, as I told you, 115 million plus, increasing the demand for that housing infrastructure and services areas that I mentioned before. Now, the government is also investing in development projects heavily, from new cities to transportation networks. And with its strategic location and access to the nearby countries for international trade and commerce, Egypt is full of hidden gems wait to be discovered by those savvy investors. So from picturesque town of El Guana on the Red Sea to bustling cities of Alexandria on the Mediterranean, there are opportunities to be found in every corner of the country. And take the city of New Cairo, for example, with its gleaming skyscrapers and modern infrastructure, or historic cities of Luxor with its stunning temples and rich cultural heritage. Each of these areas has its own unique charm and advantages, making them prime targets for investors looking to get in and get started on the ground floor. Now, one of the most exciting hidden gems in the city is Sharm el-Sheikh, a farmer desert outpost turned luxury resort town with its stunning beaches, crystal clear waters, and year-round sunshine, which is exactly why they're talking about $2 million a house. Sharm is a magnet for tourists and investors alike. The city has undergone a remarkable transformation in recent years, with new hotels, restaurants, and attractions springing up everywhere. And with the government's plan to develop the area into a major tourist hub, the potential for returns on investment is huge. So I want to share with you a personal story of someone who successfully invested in one of the Egypt's hidden gems. And Amar was a young entrepreneur who saw an opportunity to develop a boutique hotel in the historic city of Aswan. Despite the challenges, Amar persevered, working with local partners to bring his vision to life. And today, his hotel is thriving, attracting visitors from all over the world and generating a healthy return on investments. Amar's story is just one example of the many success stories waiting to be told in Egypt. So Egypt's hidden gems for investment and living is a treasure trove of opportunities waiting to be discovered. From its unique blend of culture and modern development to its lesser known cities and neighborhoods, the country has something to offer everyone. So if you're thinking of investing in Egypt, don't let misconceptions hold you back. do your research, find the right partners, and get ready to reap the rewards. Now, what do you guys think about investing in Egypt? Leave your thoughts and comments in the show before, after, during the show. Throw some comments into the next show, and be sure to check out some of the other videos on global investment opportunities that we have coming soon. I want to make sure that you guys remember that we are live 7 nights a week. We typically start off at about 10 o'clock Central Standard Time in daylight savings time, which is approximately 7 o'clock California time and 11 o'clock Florida time in the nighttime. Now, for you guys that are on Green Minutes time and Universal Standard Time, that is approximately 4 a.m. But we are live 7 nights a week. And if for something that's beyond my control that causes technical difficulties and we don't start exactly at the top of the hour, and you show up at 10 o'clock on the dot and it says pending, we are about to go live. So make sure that you hang out, because just like satellite started the show, we will start the show. We never let the sun rise without having a show. So always make sure that you come and check out something new that we've got to offer you guys, because at the end of the day, we've got to make that money make money for us. So I've said it plenty of times already. Usman said it. If I'm blinding you to the suit where all you can see is wealth, opportunity, success, investments, and finance, dividends, generational wealth, living abroad, smart investments. If that's all you could take from this show while you're blinded by the suit, then I'm doing something right. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. Ladies, all I've got to say is, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So please, ladies, make it make sense. 75% of the channel is men. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Thank you guys for showing me love every day of the week. Special shout out to a large majority of y'all. I got a laundry list of y'all. And I got y'all names running across the bottom of the screen, run across the top of the screen, actually. And in a minute, I'm going to have the countries running across the top of the screen also. So keep your eyes out for that. Hang out for Higher Ground, made by alanito.music from Switzerland. Special shout out to Crestify. If you ever need somebody to help you out with improving the quality of your product, brand, or website, web page, something to that effect. If you need information about Crestify, let me know. I'll give you guys that information on the back end as well. Thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential